Indeedy Sue Johnson here with Wake Up and Live with the Arts. I am so thrilled to be joined by one of my wild and wacky colleagues, Miss Mary Faktor, Faktor the actor, because she has been a colleague. We've worked together, not necessarily together, but off and on, same time, same place over the years, and we don't get a chance to see her on the show very often. So we want to welcome you today, Miss Mary.
Thank you.
And tell us what's been going on. You've been real busy with your 6 Ages of Women.
Absolutely. I have a one-woman comedy show that I've been doing for 33 years now, all over the country. Yeah, 33 years.
Okay.
I wrote it back when I was 30 years old. I'm almost 63 now.
I wouldn't tell a soul.
I play a character named Vicky who ages 50 years through 6 phone calls to her best friend. So the audience eavesdrops and watches these 6 phone conversations, and I go from being a teenager to a newlywed to pregnant with the first child, pregnant with the 4th child. She only planned on having 2, but she used rhythm. Okay. and then she's middle-aged, and the kids are teenagers, and she's going through menopause. And then at the end, I'm a healthy, active, vital grandmother, ready to be a grandmother, and trying to recapture the romance with my husband now that the kids are grown. So we just got back from a hotel where they had mirrors on the ceiling, and all he wanted to do was watch himself gargle. So it's very good-natured humor. When she's a newlywed, everything's always going to be so romantic, and
of course.
Then she's pregnant, and she's never going to yell at her children, and her children are never going to eat sugar. And the next one, she's pregnant with the 4th, and she's bribing them with ho-hos and Twinkies to leave her alone while she's on the phone. So it's all life.
Life, yes.
Yeah, it's all about life.
Yeah, right. Now, your show, does it evolve based on audience reaction, the world changes and so forth? The content, do you modify and adapt it to changing audiences, world conditions, life conditions?
Yes, it's basically the same show.
Right,
but I do add things as things are current in the news. When cell phones became popular, the last act is done on a cell phone, and when if there's some big special thing about if I'm performing in PA, for example, I'll find out where's their local Catholic church, or where do they do their grocery shopping, and I'll incorporate that. When I'm in Cleveland, I throw in Cleveland humor about somebody I might have had a dream about. Maybe it's one of those dumb commercials we see on TV or something.
Sure.
And if it's all male, if it's all female, if it's male and female, if it's a much older crowd, I adapt certain things.
You modify it, sure.
Right. When I do churches, I do a lot of fundraisers lately. Everybody's funds are down. Their grants are down. Their donations are down.
Hello.
And everybody's suffering with money. So I do the show as a fundraiser instead of the typical rummage sale, bake sale, fashion show that they now are doing my show. And they sell the tickets, they put the butts in the seats, I do the nice show, they can have a raffle or whatever, and everybody wins.
Sounds wonderful. Now, explain, Lucy, how did you get involved in creating your one-woman solo piece? I try to get my actors to look at that as a viable way to be an actor, perform, maybe get some money.
Yes.
And it's not easy to do.
Right.
And you'd have to have a level of dedication, commitment, blah, 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 etc., in order to end up, is yours 90 minutes, 60 minutes?
It's close to 90 minutes now, because I first have an introduction. I speak to my audience, and I let them know me as a person. Then I go into the character and do the show, and then I close with a message for them. That's inspirational, and everybody walks out saying, maybe I will take those piano lessons I've always wanted to take. But I wrote the show because I did not get cast. We think things are bad sometimes, and they're really not. When God closes the door, he opens the window. And not getting cast in that show, community theater, back years ago, was the best thing that ever happened to me, because I came home and I was upset. I found out the part had been precast, and the whole audition was a farce. And I came home and I was upset, and I thought, for we on this, I'm going to write my own show and perform whenever I want. I'm tired of waiting for somebody else to let me act. And so
Precisely.
I took my own experience, the experience of other women I had known, and I wrote the show. It originally was the 5 Ages of Woman, and about a year after that, I performed for a group of business women, and many had been divorced or were widowed or were unmarried.
Back on their own.
So I added the 5th. I stuck a 5th one in there where she has a problem in her marriage, and they do separate, but then they get back together again.
Okay.
And so that's how the show was born, was because I did not get cast. And I'm a firm believer in doing something of your own that you can present and make money with. I make 80% of my living with this show.
With the show. Let me ask you this, some artistic, technical, creative stuff. About how long did it take you to get the entire piece together? While you were building it, did you go out and do segments, road test it for 15 or 20 minutes? And what is your style? I'm asking you 3 things. Let's hope we both remember what they are. What is your style of writing? Early morning, disciplined, at night sitting in the garden? So that was 3 things.
When I wrote this show, I had 0 experience as an actor other than 2 community theater shows. I had never taken a comedy class. I had never taken a writing class. I had never done anything. Inside, I knew there was something that needed to come out. I have to have a deadline. I am not disciplined at all. I fly by the seat of my pants. I'm ADHD, and I'll be doing something and shiny and squirrel, and I'm off in 6 different directions.
Sure.
And so what happened was when you know where you're going in the world, when you know what you want, the universe starts to open up for you. So I knew I wanted to write a show. Well, I picked up my local paper a week later, and there was an ad. And the ad said, local women's group wants a show for their, wants programs for the upcoming year. So I called and I said, oh, you need programs. I have a program. I did not have a program. I did not have a word on paper, not a word.
I understand.
And she said, oh, what's it about? And I said, oh, it's about this woman on the phone, and it's really funny. I had no clue what it was about. And so she said, well, what do you charge? Well, I had done community theater, so I never got paid a dime in my life. So I said $10. And she said, we'll take it. And now I had a gig. So now I had to write the show. I had done Reader's Theater prior to that.
Yes.
So what I did was I wrote the show. I finished the show at 4 in the afternoon of the day I was performing it at 7 that night. I put the script in magazines, and I did kind of a Reader's Theater. I told them that they were my first audience. I took my little cassette tape recorder and I put it down. I asked their permission to tape the show. I taped what I did. I went home. I looked at the script. I listened to the tape. That didn't get a laugh. I got to change that one. That got a good laugh. I got to leave that one in. And that's what I did. And then I recorded many shows after that.
Sure.
And that's how I did it. Was
how it evolved.
Yes. And now it is just fall on the floor funny. I've had people come up to me and say, I haven't belly laughed like that in 10 years. 85-year-old ladies love it. What I love about the show now is that I do a lot of open to the public shows. So you can take your mother, your favorite aunt, your sister, and have a girls' night out. It's a fun girls' night out.
Yes.
It's also a fun date night because the guys that don't know what to do, you never plan anything, you never take me anywhere. Well, take her there. Take her to the show because it's a lot of fun. She'll like it.
Exactly.
You might get lucky that night. Who knows?
Yeah.
I mean, it's
and you and I are going to have a commitment. You're finally going to do that silly show for us. We finally are going to get to it. Now, you are a woman of a variety of talents. And one of them is you are a poet, author, and we have this beautiful, fascinating piece called Inner Voices by Miss Mary Faktor. And what she's going to do to showcase her talent over and beyond her abilities as a one-woman show with 6 Ages of Women, she's going, there goes my voice. That's called allergy stuff.
Oh.
I hate it. Okay, but tell us about this book. How did this poetry book come into being. And then I'm going to ask you to find a piece, if you would read it, to read
Okay.
us out for this segment.
Okay.
Because we love creative, so first of all, the illustration.
My
How-
son drew that.
Really?
My son, Jim, who is now middle-aged with kids of his own, drew that picture when he was in high school.
Okay.
His specialty is ink and pen.
Pen,
So
uh-huh.
I loved the concept of the person behind the people, because to me, we do that. We have this person inside of us that sometimes doesn't really let themselves come out.
Of course,
And we have a
yes.
male side and a female side.
Yes.
And I just loved the
Yin,
picture.
yang, you name
Yeah.
it. You know.
Yeah.
Okay. What kinds of poems are in here? Be they love poems, life poems, spring poems, any particular
Well,
grouping?
there is, let's see, how can I put this? You know how some poetry you read it and you say, what did they mean by that? You know, they're so flowery or whatever. Not mine.
Right.
You know exactly what I'm saying. It's like la la la, pff, and it punches you in the head. So some of it is inspirational, some is depressing, some is funny, some is spiritual. I've had some poems used at funerals, some in church services. I've had for women's clubs. You know, it's all variety depending where I was at. And the way it turned into a book was I would close with a poem, and after my show or workshop or keynote, because I do that too, and people would say, oh, can I get a copy of that? Can I get a copy of that? So I decided to put all the poems into a book and
Mary
sell the book.
Faktor's book called Inner Voices represents all of her, inner feelings, experiences, as she was just saying about being, whether it's depressed, happy, sad, what have you, funny, silly, serious. So because it's such a wonderful variety, we're going to ask her to read one of her selections. But before we do, I'd like you to go into more detail about how people can contact you to hire you for 6 ages, to order your book, anything that will help promote you.
Okay. My website is maryfaktor.com. That's M-A-R-Y-F as in Frank, A-K-T-O-R. People want to put that C in there all the time.
Of course they do, yeah.
F-A-K-T-O-R, maryfaktor.com. My a number to reach me is 216-470-5132. And you can look me up, Google me. There's all kinds of information there. And call me. I deal with people every day. Just call and ask questions how I can help your company or your association, your church, raise money, high school booster clubs.
Your
all
bridal
sorts of
shower,
charities.
what have you.
I don't do that many bridal showers. I usually don't have the budget. But I'm just open to, I do keynote talks, workshops, and all kinds of things that are helpful.
Mary's workshops, lectures, conferences, don't miss them. Whenever you see her coming around your area, not only Cleveland and Ohio, but she travels the country, certainly check out her 6 Ages of Women, and of course, her fairly new poetry book.
No,
it's
been around
old.
a while.
Oh, okay. Well, why don't you close us out and
Okay.
read one of your wonderful selections for
All right.
our audience to enjoy.
One more mention I would like to make is I will be appearing open to the public at St. Michael's Woodside in North Royalton on Wallings Road on June the 18th. It's a dinner show. Dinner at 5, I think doors open at 5, and the show is at 7:30. And that's sponsored through the Mimi Vanderhaven paper, mimideals.com for tickets.
Okay, sounds good. So if we can see you in person.
Yes, and it's
Okay.
going to be a great show. It's a beautiful facility and an excellent dinner. And it's a really nice night out.
And now we're going to have a really nice moment here.
Okay.
Okay, go ahead.
This is a poem called Upon Growing Older. And I wrote this, I think I was turning 30 when I wrote this. One day as I studied my face in the mirror, I suddenly felt a cold tremor of fear. For left of my eye and right of my ear, the first signs of a wrinkle began to appear. When did this dreaded event first take place? I'm not ready to cope yet with lines in my face. I'm still learning to deal with kneecaps that sag and hips that resemble a packed saddlebag. My hourglass figure is shifting its sand. I don't quite recall when it got out of hand. My gums are receding. I fear so's my hair. My teeth are in constant need of repair. My once smooth, firm thighs look like curd cottage cheese. And my contact lens pops out whenever I sneeze. My once perky chest has considerable droop. But my hair has no gray thanks to that Clairol goop. I broke off my bridge and some candy I bit, and I've got big, deep dimples on the cheeks where I sit. I can't eat fried chicken because that gives me gas. My hemorrhoids are really a pain in the neck. My bladder is worthless. I live in the John. Just 1 cup of coffee or tea and I'm gone. Varicose veins, mine resemble a map, and I can't make the day with no afternoon nap. My rear end is spreading and so is my waist. For Geritol, I have developed a taste. I bought stock in might, all my cramps get so bad. My sinus is driving me stark raving mad. My bunions are throbbing, my elbows are stiff. I snore when I sleep and I cough when I sniff. It gets even worse, Mother Nature plays dirty. She made all this start on the day I turned 30. But all these conditions let's cope with ease. Each day in this life that gives no guarantees. If between the right now and the time we depart, we continue to always stay young in our heart.
That was absolutely, yeah, I can say absolutely marvelous, darling. Hey, we like to have fun, okay? There's too much serious in life as it is. So just be fun, have fun with us and be silly. It works out okay. Thank you, Mary, so very much. I'm not finally glad. I'm glad we're finally getting closer to connecting, to working together with your one-woman show, your poetry and everything, because we're way overdue.
Okay.
Yeah,
Thank you.
I didn't know we'd been around that long. Okay, well, we want to thank Mary Faktor, the actor, and we want you to also enjoy the next guest that we'll be introducing in just a second.